Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Martin Rutte, who is an international speaker and consultant and author of Project Heaven on Earth, the 3 simple questions that will help you change the world. Martin, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. A pleasure to be with you.
So I think the word simple and then change the world don't seem to go together. So give us a little bit of a background on yourself, and then let's get into these questions that can help change the world, because that sounds really exciting.
Well, I'm going to give you my business background. I'm a management consultant, an author. I've worked with large corporations, Virgin Records, Sony Pictures, Merrill Dow Consumer Pharmaceuticals. I've spoken on vision at the Harvard Business School 4 times. So I have a very traditional upper-end consulting business. And then I would say about 25, 30 years ago, Mike, I began to have this question in my mind. What's a vision not only for a business, because that I know how to create, and for an individual, but what's the vision that people have for the kind of world they want? I was, thinking, and then all of a sudden this thought popped into my head. You mean heaven on earth? That would be the ultimate vision for the world. And my first thought, Mike, was, oh, Mike, you can't say that. People will think you're nuts, you're proselytizing, so I kind of stepped back and I thought, but wait a second. We can talk about hell on earth, can't we? All the hells on earth. Yeah, that's totally permissible conversation. Political situations, refugees, climate, so on, so on, so on. Why can't we talk about the depth of our soul and the kind of world we want, the kind of family and life and business and country and world that we want? Wouldn't it be wonderful to start talking about that and really engaging with that? And so that was the genesis of it. And I've been doing that for 25, 30 years now, in addition to my regular consulting practice. But that's becoming more and more, it is the love of my life. Aside from my wife, sorry, she listens to that.
Yeah, she wins. Well, but you just described personally what you are trying to get people globally to think about is, you pay the bills by doing this, but look at that bigger vision. And even past that, how about a corporate vision and mission kind of statement, the old school statement, you pretty much fill in the blank and here it is, you don't get excited about it, but how can you take that up and optimize that for that bigger, greater good? And that's exactly what you just described. So I think that is spot on and makes total sense. So then now this thought came to mind back in the day, and it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. What is it that you're seeing now? Have you seen this movement kind of take shape in the people that you're working with?
Yes, and let me just give you some different examples. Specifically, like clearly with individuals it has, but because we're more focused on business, let me talk about business. Years ago, we could only talk in business about traditional conversations, profitability, research, advertising, marketing, and then a little bit about my career. And then we began to open it up wider. So we started talking about some of the issues that were facing employees. I'm gay, I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug abuser. Each time one of those conversations came in, people said, well, no, you can't talk about that really. But we found ways to talk about it that were useful both to the individual and to the enterprise. And so then we saw other things coming in: corporate social responsibility, the environment, community affairs, community charitable donations from the company. So the notion of company, no matter how large, the notion of company began to expand its purview, its perspective on the world. And so I've been saying to people in companies, small and large, imagine you had a magic wand and could have heaven on earth for your company. What would that be? And the question is really profound, because the notion of the magic wand takes away the necessity of having to figure out how you're going to do it. People get stuck in how way too early in the game. You've got to look at what rather than how, especially if you're going to go for something visionary. So there is these three questions that developed when I started to go out speaking with people about what is heaven on earth for you. And I didn't have any specific answer in mind. I really didn't. I'm not here to say this is heaven on earth. I know what it is and you don't, because I don't think that's going to get anywhere for me as an individual or us as a company. Rather, it's to evoke the heaven on earth that's within you and within you for yourself and the company and the world. So that was the basis of the three questions. And what I'd like to do, if you're willing, we didn't set this up beforehand, I know, is let me ask you, if you're willing to, let me ask you the three questions, and then let me ask you the business question. And you can see how this thing really starts to expand from your own perspective. Would you be willing to do that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. So, question one. Recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. What was going on?
I would have to say that it was it probably the cliche that everybody that would answer this question would say is it was just kind of like that still lake with no ripples and no waves. It was just things were still personally, professionally, spiritually, financially, and there's no like pending issues. And it just was kind of like you look around, you're like, my to-do list is to done, and there's nothing that I'm, no crises bubbling up. And that's kind of like, to me, that feeling of calm and peace.
Very good. All right. Next question. Imagine you have a magic wand. And with this magic wand, you can have heaven on earth. What's heaven on earth for you?
I suppose I would have to be redundant and say exactly what I just mentioned, where it's like, to be on top of all of these pieces, again, personally, professionally, spiritually, financially, so that you're seeing potential issues that might come up, addressing them before they become problems, and then experiencing the result of that, which is everything in its place, everything in its order, and not experiencing these catastrophic potentials in your life. And there's things that you can never, deal with. I mean, you've got my mom passed away in June. You're never going to prevent that. That's not heaven on earth, but there's the things that you can control, and maybe to feel settled in the fact that you can not get bunched up about things you can't control.
Very good. And then the third question, what simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours to have more of that?
I would say for me then it would be just to be noticing and watching for ways to have that happen, because I think we all get too busy and we just blow through things to check the checkbox and say got it done. And if we can slow down and just kind of be observant, I think that will be a big step.
All right, let's go through the question. Let me ask another question then. With respect to business, using the same magic wand, what's heaven on earth for your business?
I would have to say giving and serving and providing so much value that you've got clients that are not happy customers but raving fans, and that feel compelled to wave the banner and make referrals and introductions because they feel like you're doing great work.
Lovely. Let's go through the question. So question one, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. You spoke about this still lake feeling and perspective, calm and peace. What you didn't do, Mike, and what no one does, is ask me, Martin, what do you mean by heaven on earth? Nobody asked that question.
Yeah, because I think it's that, like you said earlier, it's like, oh, you can't say that. Well, why? Because people intrinsically know, oh, heaven on earth means whatever they feel like it means to them.
Correct. But what's interesting is that they know. The only way you can answer that question is because you have what I call an already knowing about what heaven on earth is within you. Mm-hmm. And you scan your life and you say, that's it. People know. Second question, here's the magic wand. The reason for the magic wand, excuse me, is to take away the how, take away the how and just focus on the what. And you went right to the what, to be on top of it all, potential issues you see in advance, everything in its place and order. When I then asked you to use the same magic wand with respect to your business, giving and serving so much value that you have raving fans, not just happy customers who wave a banner about your company and your work. And then number 3, what are you going to do about it? Next 24 hours, you'll be noting and watching for ways to have that happen more. Those are the 3 major questions. I've added a question about business here with you. But the point is, we know what heaven on earth is. And if we can ask it in this building way and then start doing something about it, something that seemed totally impossible potentially before, heaven on earth, that's impossible, suddenly becomes possible, and you're taking action on that. And so imagine companies now, and there are, I'll give you some examples in a couple minutes, companies are saying, oh, well, what can I do about heaven on earth? Oh, here's what I can do. And they start doing it. Thus, we're creating a larger context, a larger new story for me of what it means to be a human and what it means to be humanity. Namely, we are really creating this new story.
Well, I think it's really important that one thing that you did, which is you looked at like not even the 30,000 foot view, but the 60,000 foot view. And, hey, what would it look like if? Well, then rather than going, okay, now let's list the 427 bullet points it takes to get there, and people feel overwhelmed, and what do? Nothing. Now let's focus on the next 24 hours. Oh, I can do that. So I think that's a really nice contrast.
Thank you. And the word that really has popped out more and more for me with respect to the third question, what simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours? I'm beginning to see, Mike, that the simple is the foundation of this work. Because if it's simple for you to do in the next 24 hours, you will do it. And then the ball starts rolling. And that's what we want. So maybe, can I give you some examples?
Sure, yeah.
Of what people are doing? We had a training company with offices in Texas and California, and he sat his board down and asked them the 3 questions. And what he said was, it just got them all again in touch with the purpose of this company and what it was up to. I have a jewelry store who has created little cards with the 3 questions on it, and with every purchase in both of her stores, she hands out a little card with the heaven on earth questions on it, almost 10,000 questions. A tea merchant has blended a heaven on earth tea. A cafe has blended a heaven on earth coffee. And the one I really love is there's a real estate company in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, where she wanted to do something about ending homelessness. How? By providing a home for everyone. How can we do something that seems totally impossible? The idea she came up with, Mike, is she went back to her agency, 10 agents, set them all down, and said, look, I want to end homelessness by providing a home for everyone. Would you each be willing to have $100 automatically withdrawn from your commission check for every building or home you sell? They all said yes. They started a program called A Home for Everyone. They've raised, Mike, over $400,000 in the last 6 years. It's stunning. So I never know the creativity that's unleashed, the unique creativity that's unleashed when people start asking this question. What's heaven on earth for your business, and what can you do to begin that? What will you do to begin that?
And do you find that, and this probably goes back to human nature or some psychology principle I'm confident of, I just don't know what it is, but you see this big, big goal, and then you go, ooh, that's too big, and then you start with what I can do right here, today, tomorrow, the next day, small steps, love it, great. But then once you start having these little mini wins and like checking off the boxes, it starts to give you that momentum and motivation, because it's like, ooh, I'm getting closer, and I'm getting closer. Whereas if it was like, can I do these 27 steps today? You're not going to do it, and then you just kind of move on. So speak a little bit about seeing that big vision and seeing where you could go, which should pull you, but then taking these smaller steps and then getting the motivation and momentum as you go.
Think of an example that a friend of mine, Mark Bukego, spoke about years ago. Think of the Japanese car industry about 50 years ago. Japanese cars were known as junk, complete, total junk, no reason to buy it. Toyota comes along and a number of other companies and says, okay, this is not sustainable. We've got to do something. And they start doing this total quality improvement. And they looked at tiny little steps to improve this improvement, that improvement. Cut half a cent here, cut half a cent there. to the point over time where this momentum grew, both in the physical world and in the mental world of the company and of the customers. Toyota makes a heck of a good quality car. It's the same way here. If you say, I know what heaven on earth is for me, but it's too overwhelming, boom, overwhelming wins. And we don't want overwhelming to win. We want the tiny steps to provide the foundation for the momentum over time. So here's an example of, if you go to Google and put in quotes the phrase heaven on earth, and then outside the quotes 2018, you'll get about roughly 8.5 million. If you do the same heaven on earth in quotes 2019, you'll get about 12.5 million, roughly. We're up, I checked this morning, we're up almost 60% over the totality of last year. So I know that something's going on with this thought form called heaven on earth. It's still below the surface, but the numbers on Google especially don't lie. Something is going on here underneath the surface.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see that because is it untold riches on earth and you see all this momentum and people posting their Rolexes and their Lamborghinis? No, it is heaven on earth, which is by the byproduct of that is helping out and serving and giving value. And so that's a nice thing to see.
It is about service and it is about giving value. Those are very, very important aspects for me. When I ask people what's heaven on earth for them, maybe in the thousands of people, maybe 2 or 3 talk about, huge amounts of money. It doesn't come up. It's not number one on the list.
Yeah.
Ending hunger, ending war, a safe and healthy family, a business that's, moving along well. Those values continue to arise. And in my book, the book is Project Heaven on Earth on Amazon. So we begin with the 3 questions that I just asked you. And then in asking those questions, Mike, over and over again, I began to see patterns in the answers. How do people create heaven on earth? So for some people, it's internal. For some people, it's living a global value, love, harmony, joy, making a relationship work, ending a suffering, making an institution work, making my nation work. So to see what those different gateways into heaven on earth are, so that by the time you finish reading the book, you will know what your project is, and you'll get going on that.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap up with how can people pick up a copy of the book? You said Amazon, but do you have any other locations on your website where you have any other links that you would like to point the listeners to?
Thank you, Mike. Yes, go to projectheavenonearth.com and you can sign up for my free course. You can, which will also get you a free weekly blog, so you can marinate more deeply in heaven on earth. And I want to talk about this idea I've come up with called the case for heaven on earth. If you buy 20 or more books and send me a note from Amazon saying that you've done that, the contact's on the projectheavenonearth.com website, I'll do a free 1-hour webinar for you and your group. And that's just begun. I know that's just begun to take off, and I love it. It's called The Case for Heaven on Earth.
Well, I love it. I think that is just so amazing. And Martin, thank you for your time coming on today. It was great getting to know you and your vision and your cause.
Thank you so much, Mike. Pleasure.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.